very special event. Before we get on with the final National Book Awards ceremony of the 20th century, I would like to thank some very important supporters. The program booklet of this evening, which is on your table wrapped in cellophane, and it is indeed a beautiful keepsake, was conceptualized and designed by Neil Stewart and produced pro bono by Coral Graphics. I would like our art director, Neil Stewart, and Frank Capra, the president of Coral Graphics Services, to stand and be applauded. I would also like to acknowledge our 7 leadership donors of the 50th Anniversary National Book Awards Endowment Campaign for their extraordinary generosity in helping to secure the future of our institution. Barnes & Noble, R.R. Donnelly, News Corporation Foundation HarperCollins Publishers, Penguin Putnam, Random House, Simon & Schuster and Viacom, and Time Inc. And on behalf of the Board of Directors of the National Book Foundation, I would also like to thank our 7 sponsorship donors: Booz Allen and Hamilton, Goldman Sachs and Company, Cold Spring Publishers, Houghton Mifflin, Hyperion and ABC, and John Wiley and Son King. And last but not least, KPMG and Pete Marwick, whose gift came in too late to be properly acknowledged in the program booklet. In his hilarious essay in the November 15th issue of The New Yorker, preface to my autobiography, Steve Martin admits that he has, and I quote, exaggerated for the purpose of narrative flow his involvement in certain charities. Well, we are privileged and very grateful to have Steve Martin's involvement in our charity tonight. Distinguished man of letters, best-selling author, essayist, playwright, actor, director, and comedian, veteran of the Smothers Brothers, The Tonight Show, and of course, Saturday Night Live. And here I am, introducing a man who truly needs no introduction. Let us re-welcome our endearing master of ceremonies, Mr. Steve Martin.
Okay, it's time to start the festivities. I'm going to announce the names and publishers of the 5 finalists in poetry and ask each author to stand in place when his or her name is called. And please hold your applause to the end when I mention my name. I. Weiss, New and Selected Poems, W.W. Norton and Company. Louise Glick, Vita Nova, The Echo Press. Clarence Major, Configurations, New and Selected Poems, 1958 and Sharon Santos, The Pilot Star. W.W. Norton and Company. And C.K. Williams, Repair, Ferrari Strauss and Lewis. Remain standing according to the dictates of the National Book Award. Are they standing? Well, that's the idea so we can see how embarrassed you are. And I'm going to introduce Lucille Clifton, the chairman of the Poetry Jury, who will give the award. Lucille Clifton is the mother of 6 adult children. Is that an oxymoron? It is. She is a Chancellor of the Academy of American Poets and a Fellow of the American Academy of Arts and Sciences. Her new and selected poems will be published by BOA Editions next spring.
Thank you very much. First, on behalf of the Poetry Panel, I would like to thank the National Book Foundation for its continuing
support of this art that we hold dear for literature and for writers. I would like to thank the poetry panel, which consisted of Deborah Garrison, Jerry Ramsey, James Tate, and Arthur Z. I'm proud to have been a part of that panel. I am very proud of their careful reading, their attention to the 131 books, their care for this art, and their generosity of spirit. It was a pleasure for us to work together. I take great pride in the nominees. I think it was a wonderful list of finalists, distinguished poets all from across this country. I think that our nominees were what American poetry is about. And I also now would like to announce and congratulate the winner of the last National Book Award for Poetry of this century, a poet who is daring and still lyrical, whose friends call her Florrie, whose book is called Vice, and who is known as I.
Such a boost to people in Oklahoma who really need this, and so did I. I'm very grateful to the judges and to everyone. Thank you so much. どうもありがとうございました。
The nominees are, and I assume they'll stand again, Natalie Anger, Woman, An Intimate Geography. Mark Bowden, Black Hawk Down, the story of modern war and humanitarian John Dower, Embracing Defeat, Japan in the wake of World War II, John Philip Santos, Places Left Unfinished at the Time of Creation. Judith Thurman, Secrets of the Flesh, The Life of Colette. And now I'm going to introduce Neil Gabler, who is the chairman of the nonfiction jury. Neil Gabler is the author of 3 books, most recently, Life, the Movie, and he believes, and I quote, "We are all performance artists in an ongoing show." Believe me, I feel like that tonight. His essays appear regularly in the New York Times, the LA Times, George, Vogue, and many other publications. Neil Gabler.
I have had the privilege and the honor of chairing a panel of brilliant, diligent, and fair-minded judges who, believe it or not, actually looked at each of the nearly 400 submissions we received. If you see glassy-eyed people at your table, you know that those are the judges. They are wonderful writers, wonderful people, and I would like to acknowledge those judges now. Buzz Bissinger, Sylvia Nasser, Nell Painter, and Christina Rathbone. Recently, there has been a great deal of hand-wringing over the threatened obsolescence of the printed word in the face of new technologies. Frankly, I think we should be more concerned about the strategies that are now being employed to keep literature relevant in the age of mass media. Strategies that elevate the accessible and entertaining at the expense of the challenging and the edifying. Now more than ever, literature needs protection. It needs protection from booksellers, obsessed with the hottest thing rather than the best thing. From book critics, who are less interested in intellectually engaging a work than in dispensing opinion because opinion gets more attention. From publishers, who care less about marketing good books than about books that make for good marketing. From book awards, frankly, that promote the fiction only 5 works in each category are worthy of recognition. And even from the authors who are increasingly tempted to write marketing campaigns in the form of a book. In short, we must protect our literature from ourselves. This evening, however, it is my pleasure not to bury publishing, but to praise it. The 5 nominees for nonfiction illustrate what literature can be at its very best: intelligent, moving, illuminating, beautifully crafted, and masterfully written, and yes, even entertaining. I urge their publishers to advertise these books, booksellers to sell them, critics to extol them, and I urge everyone in this room to read them, if only to remind us of our mission, lest we forget. And that mission is both to sell books and to provide a literature. All of these nominees are exceptional, but we are compelled by the rules to choose one. The winner of the National Book Award in Nonfiction is John W. Dowler.
Well, thank you so much. The title of my book was Embracing Defeat, and it took about 10 years, and I'm so socialized to do that, I'm not quite sure what to do now. But I do embrace this moment, and I thank you very much. And I want to thank also a few people, beginning with my wife, Roscoe, because we did this together, and we talked it over together about 10 years, and she's sitting somewhere over there, and I'd really like her to stand up. The book was an unusual collaborative publishing venture with Norton Books and the New Press. This is something quite unusual, a synergy, and my contacts there were Barbara Norton and Andre Schiffer, to whom I'm grateful. And I want to thank also my agent, George Bouchard. And what I was doing in Embracing Defeat was trying to capture voices after World War II in Japan. It was a story about Japan after the war, and Americans and Japanese coming together. And to capture those voices, I had to go back to so many printed sources of every nature: books and magazines, letters to the editors, songs, so many forms of print. And to a historian such as myself, this is a treasure house, and I really, it's something we truly value, and I thank you all for strengthening that treasure house awards. Thank you very much.
I hope the next winner is way in the back so they can really have a long walk. You have to pay more attention to the Academy Awards. You're supposed to go like this and run. Can't let the applause die out before you get to the stage. It's a little showbiz tip. Okay, now we move on to young people's literature. Thank you. The nominees are Lori Haltz Anderson, Speak, for R. Strauss and Giroux. Louise Ridrick, The Birch Bark House, Hyperion Books for Children. Kimberly Willis Holt, When Zachary Beaver Came to Town, Henry Holt and Company. Holly Horvath, The Trolls, for R. Strauss and Giroux. Walter D. Myers, Monster, Harper Collins Publishing. Seems the authors have wisely decided not to stand as per instruction for the entire thing. Well, I'm going to introduce now the chairman of the Young People's Literature Jury, Hazel Rockman, who grew up in South Africa under apartheid, where books were fiercely censored. As an immigrant here, although she feels out of place from time to time, as we all do, books have helped her to become more at home. She is the editor of Books for Young Adults for Booklist, the reviewing journal of the American Library Association. Hazel Rockman.
We keep hearing these dire predictions that with all the thrilling new technology, young people won't read books anymore. Even with the excitement about the Harry Potter books, there's always this surprise that kids like to read. In fact, kids read great books for much the same reasons we do, for enthralling stories and words that sing. And they find books with family and friends, sometimes through a librarian, a teacher, a stranger, someone who tells stories, reads aloud, talks about books, and helps a child find books to read alone. That's a gift you never forget. James Baldwin remembers that when his teacher first took him to the library, he was so nervous that he threw up on his shoes. This is what Baldwin said about what books meant to him as a child. Quote, "You think your pain and heartbreak are unprecedented in the history of the world, but then you read. It was books that taught me that the things that tormented me the most were the very things that connected me with all the people who were alive or who had ever been alive." Close quote. This year, there are so many great new books for young people that connect readers everywhere in pain and joy. They've certainly connected the 5 judges as we've read and talked and argued and obsessed for months, trying to get down to just 5 panelists and then talking right through lunch today to choose one. I want to thank the National Book Foundation and especially Neil Baldwin and Sherry Young. Without their attention to the big ideas and the crucial details, we could not have done this. And I want to thank my excellent fellow judges and ask them to stand. Veronica Chambers, author of Mama's Girl, as well as several books for young people. Whose novel Where You Belong was a 1997 National Book Award finalist for young people. Roger Sutton, editor-in-chief at Horn Book Magazine. And Celia Sutton,
do the run, Steve, but I think I was on a trip. I hope you'll forgive me because I'm so nervous, so I'm going to be reading this speech. I did not expect to be up here because I read all of the finalist books and I was just touched by all of them. And so when I was with my agent yesterday walking around New York, I said, I didn't write a speech. And she was horrified. So I went back to the hotel room and did that. I would like to thank, first of all, everyone at Henry Holt for their support, particularly my editor, Christy Ottaviano, who challenges me to reach for my best and then asks me to reach a little bit more. I'd also like to thank Jennifer Flannery, who has been such a loyal champion of my work and continues to be. And also to my husband, Jerry, and my daughter, Shannon, who love me even when my writing does stink. And I also want to thank the National Book Award Committee because, the National Book Foundation for recognizing children's literature. By doing this, you have given honor to every children's book, so I appreciate that. And of course, last, I really do appreciate the National Book Award Committee for Young People's Literature for selecting my book. I will remember this moment forever.
You didn't expect to win, and yet you wrote a speech. Fiction. The nominees are Andre Lebus, House of Sand and Fog, W.W. Morton. Kit Cariff, Plain Song. Bob Jin, Waiting, Anthony Brown. Gene Thompson, Who Do You Love? Our corporation. And now I'm going to introduce the jury chairman for fiction, Dr. Charles Johnson, who was a 1998 MacArthur Fellow. He received the National Book Award in 1990 for his novel Middle Passage, a literary critic, short story and screenwriter, essayist, philosopher, and cartoonist. He teaches creative writing at the University of Washington. His most recent novel is Dreamer, Charles Johnson.
The fiction panel for this year's National Book Award consisted of Dorothy Allison, Scott Spencer, Allegra Goodman, Terry McMillan, and myself. We received over 200 novels and short story collections published in 1999. Short fiction accounted for about 30% of the books that we read. On June 14, we were instructed by the National Book Foundation to find a book that, in the words of National Book Award winner William Faulkner, will not only endure, but prevail. This was not, of course, an easy task. The books we received represented an astonishing degree of diversity. Diversity of styles, literary visions, subjects, and cultural backgrounds. In the space of 4 months, we had 5 conference calls, and we generated well over 150 email reviews and critiques, despite such distractions as food poisoning, Hurricane Floyd, family illness, and computer failures. By the end of this process of dialogue, this very democratic process, we found 5 finalists, all of whom reminded us that the essence of distinguished fiction is imaginative storytelling that explores the problems of the heart and conflict with itself, which is another quote from William Faulkner. I would like to thank the other members of my panel for completing this remarkable chore. and for enlightening me during our process, especially Dorothy Allison, who unfortunately could not be here tonight, but who inspired us all by her honesty, by her energy, and by reading some of the submissions as many as 5 and 6 times. And now it gives me great pleasure to announce that the 1999 winner in fiction is waiting. There are so many people who thank. I'm deeply humbled and honored. I accept this award as encouragement with my deepest gratitude to many people, to the National Book Foundation, to the judges, and to my published accounting books, to my editor, one author, to my agent, Len Zachary. I'm also very grateful to my wife, who has suffered because of my writing. I think I also wish to thank America, a land of generosity and abundance, that accepted me as a citizen. Above all, I thank the English language, which is embracing and vibrant, and has provided me a niche where I can do meaningful work. Thank you.
Sitting over next to that light, realized I was on fire. So thank you very much for coming, and now we're going to have dessert, and we'll see you next year. Those who want to be nominated next year, please start writing